Okay, welcome everyone. Lovely to be with you. So if we can, for the duration of this meditation, simply be without knowing. Everything that appears to you, the sound of this voice, this healing, the breath, whatever bodily sensations and images, thoughts appear to you, they appear in this open, borderless space of awareness. You are this aware space. This presence, the reality which perceives, the reality which is, which knows it is. Lacking nothing and seeking nothing. Awake, aware, alive. But not limited by whatever appears to it. Whatever appears to you, like clouds appearing in the wide open sky. You are this wide open sky. Not trying to be anything, not trying to become anything, trying to improve anything. No trying. Don't need to fix anything which appears to you. Even though it may be a very intimate bodily sensation, a feeling. Simply remain not knowing. Because not knowing is the open field. There's no position taken, no particular point of view about this or that, about myself, about the world. And yet there's complete presence. There's an open presence, an open, spacious presence, which is effortless. And this effortlessness, this presence is universal being, universal presence, not my own personal doing, and my own personal presence. It's the peace of being. Which is recognizing itself this moment. The sense of limitation, the sense of being the personal limited self, being a mortal form, is an inevitable appearance, an inevitable impression, which goes hand in hand with the belief that I am a person, that I'm awareness, I'm consciousness. I'm a limited male or female body-mind form existing in time and space, born to parents this belief is the choice of consciousness to identify itself with a particular form. With a history, a past, future. When what is available to you is the understanding that I, consciousness, is not a mortal form, is not the body-mind. This belief of being limited, of being separate, of being mortal, has no grounds upon which to stand. And that what I is pure awareness, pure consciousness, which is neither male nor female, which is not located behind the eyes or inside the brain or within the chest. There's no location to awareness. There's no location to I, no limited, fixed position. To consciousness, awareness. What is available to you is the direct knowingness of yourself as the aware aspect, as the reality of consciousness, one reality, whatever way you name it, that I is real, not I as a body mind which appears and disappears. But I as the reality which perceives right now, which is right now, which knows it is. So this sense of me is made out of the belief that consciousness is personal and limited. And the feeling, the bodily sensations, which are interpreted as evidence of the limitation of consciousness. In other words, consciousness is limited because I feel I am limited. This interpretation of a sensation as being evidence that the reality of consciousness is limited and personal and dependent on the body mind. We overlook that the sensations and feelings are perceptions. They're perceived. They are known, but they are not knowing. In other words, they don't reveal anything about the reality which perceives them. They reveal nothing about our true nature. They reveal nothing about the reality of consciousness. So we can perceive this sense of me as a simple appearance, like a cloud appearing in the sky, right? A current appearing in the ocean without any significance outside of being the way in which consciousness is appearing right now, appearing as a thought, as a feeling, as a belief, while remaining as it is. You are not subject to what unfolds in the world or what unfolds in the body or mind. You are the consciousness, the awareness, noumenal reality of all phenomenal impression, the noumenal reality of all thoughts, perceptions, and sensations. The noumenal is not defined by the phenomenon. So you can allow the sense of me to be as it is. No need to argue with it or try to get rid of it or fix it. Allow it to be like you allow the river to be, like you allow the weather to be, like you allow the world to be. Nothing is happening to you. Nothing defines you. So if there are any questions, please make sure to unmute your mic. Welcome to turn on the video. Any questions?
Hi, Magdi.
Hello, Fernando. Yes.
How we have heard on so many traditions the need of self-knowledge, know yourself, know thyself. How do you reconcile this teaching with the idea of not knowing that you have mentioned?
Yes.
Because not knowing could mean that you don't know yourself. So I need some clarification on that, please.
Claro. Yes. One moment, let me just check one thing here. So, all right, let me just do a couple of things here. I think I need to address this. One moment. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So, not knowing, Fernando, refers to not knowing that you are a person, that you're the body, you're a father, you're a mother, you're somebody that is existing in time and space. So it's about it's a not knowingness that is not like an emptiness, not like a sort of a rather it is not knowing that comes hand in hand with the dropping of the belief that I know that I am Magdi and I'm this and I'm that and I'm born in such year and hopefully I will live another 30 years, blah, blah, blah. So know thyself is basically about consciousness knowing itself. It's not about the mind knowing itself, because the mind basically refers to thoughts, sensations, perceptions. Thoughts cannot know themselves. They're known, they're perceived. So it's not about the mind knowing itself or the mind knowing something about itself. So know thyself refers to consciousness knowing itself, meaning the reality knowing itself. Of course, one could say, well, reality is itself, and by the very fact that it is itself, being, meaning it is being is also knowing. The satchit, the awareness and presence go hand in hand. So know thyself is the understanding about being awareness, that I refers to this aware presence. Awareness meaning the knowingness, and presence meaning being. So know thyself is knowing that I am, and I know that I am. Not knowing, the not knowingness refers to not knowing that I am a human being, I am an American citizen, I am a writer, a father, because the body appears to you. the male form, appears to you. The activities of parenting, of fatherhood, appears to you. You are the reality which perceives the body, which perceives the world, which perceives the mind. This understanding, once this understanding is deeply integrated, then the belief that you are a body-mind, that you are that which appears, that belief diminishes and dissolves. And that's the not knowing aspect of the teaching. Now, if you look at your experience, Fernando, you know that you're aware. That's beyond any doubt. There is a certainty about awareness. There isn't that much of a certainty about that which you perceive, because that which you perceive could be a dream or could be a hallucinogenic experience. It's possible. 1 in a million, it's possible. So the certainty is not so much a certainty about that which you perceive, but the certainty about awareness and about being. I am. Whatever this I is, that there is presence, that there is something rather than nothing. That is absolutely your experience. If you contemplate that, you will come to the conclusion that yes, I am certain that I am, whatever that is, and I'm certain that I'm aware, whatever it is that it is aware. I'm certain about that. I am not so certain about that which I perceive, because everything that you perceive, for example, is subject to the body-mind, is subject to the brain. If you are intoxicated, all your perceptions are distorted. When you are sleeping and dreaming, all your perceptions are they're distorted. They're also, dream perception. So you cannot be certain about that which you perceive, that which is perceived, but you can be certain about consciousness. So that is the knowingness. I know that I am, and I know that awareness is, or consciousness is. I know that I am conscious, that I is consciousness. That's the first phase of know thyself. The next phase of knowing thyself is the contemplation that I consciousness is no evidence that this I consciousness is limited, is personal, or is a result of a brain activity, or is a result of the Big Bang, or is a result of time and space. No evidence of that. So the deep inquiry into that belief that consciousness is limited and personal will dismantle this belief. And as this belief is dismantled, what remains is not knowing. There isn't the absolute certainty of consciousness, of awareness, of being, but it's not defined as being the result of a body-mind, the result of the brain, the result of the Big Bang. It is, but you arrive at the not known, being not known. And then you can inquire, for example, in my direct experience, is awareness, which I know is real, consciousness right now, is there any evidence that this awareness is located inside this room, or is located inside my brain, or begins at a certain time and space and ends at another time and space, you could ask yourself these questions. Because you have the direct experience of consciousness. You know the answer to these questions by asking the question. The inquiry into these questions will remove all those beliefs. They have less and less of ground to stand on. And what remains is the aliveness, the reality of consciousness, and the aliveness of consciousness, moment by moment. And of course, Maya, the creative aspect of consciousness, which is going on right now in this conversation, in this perception, goes on, but without the belief that there is a limited entity, there is an entity that is lacking, missing something, that is struggling without that the aspect of ignorance or unhappiness. So knowing thyself and being not knowing, they meet in our certainty about consciousness, about awareness, and in our certainty that there is no evidence whatsoever that consciousness is personal unity. So the knowing and the not knowing is sort of merged.
So we can say that knowing thyself is the knowing of your true nature, and not knowing it relates to not knowing that you are not the personal I.
Yes. Yes. So knowing is the knowing of your true nature.
But you said something interesting, and in one point, knowing and not knowing meet.
Yes.
And when you know that you are consciousness, there is a level in which there is a not knowing.
Yes.
It has to do with something that I heard this week. One of these teachers, he mentioned something like the divine ignorance. Maybe it has to do with that
Yes.
term, divine ignorance.
Yes.
You don't know
Divine
who you
ignorance.
are.
Yes, that's a good term, the divine ignorance. So the knowing is our true nature knows itself, consciousness knows itself. And the not knowing is the no need to know that it is this or that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you contemplate that, that there is a reality to our experience, not necessarily to that which we perceive, but whatever it is that is perceived, there is a reality that perceives it, that there is a reality to our experience, that there is something rather than nothing. Once you contemplate that, and that there is only one reality, then knowing and not knowing merge. Everything merges into this understanding of one reality. The reality of I, the reality of consciousness, the reality of the world, the reality of the body, the reality of the mind, the reality of infinite universes is this one reality. So the contemplation of there is a reality, there is something rather than nothing, and that reality is one, sort of brings it to a full circle. It sort of, it merges all the parts into this understanding. And then life becomes the exploration and the living of this understanding, manifesting this understanding, expressing this understanding, exploring this understanding. So it becomes our laboratory and our playground and our exploration. There's a life and the dynamics of life, presenting different situations, different relationships, different circumstances. So the understanding, which is nominal, then is lived, manifested in the phenomenal realm, in relationships, the way we perceive things, the way we act, the way we think, the way we listen.
Thank you. It's very clear to me now.
Any questions?
Magdi,
Yes.
so
Yes.
we could, hello,
Yes.
nice to
Hello.
see you.
Hello.
Could we say that the not knowing is like the deep silence of the mind, because the moment that my mind says something, that's already a human reality, another reality?
This not knowing is deeper than the silence of the mind. It is the silence that is behind the mind. It is the silence into which the mind appears. It's the silence and the space into which experience appears. So it is a silence that is behind the silence of the mind. It's a silence that is behind the silence of the body and behind the silence of the mind. And
Silence of the silence.
huh?
The silence of the silence.
Yes, silence, core, the heart of silence. But at the same time, this silence, the silence of being, I could say, is also manifesting as the angels. It manifests as body, mind, as infinite manifestations beyond the human body mind. Because the human body mind is a very narrow, very limited organism with limited capacities. So this silence is also a movement, a life activity, such as the human experience, but also beyond. Why limited to the human experience? We know there are experiences beyond the human mind. So, experience of a lizard, or the experience of molecules, other universe, other different possibilities. So it's both the silence and the stillness, and also the movement and the creation. The creation does not veil the silence. The creation is created by the silence. It is the silence itself which is creation, which is creating, which is experiencing and perceiving, but without being disturbed. That's a key thing. Without being disturbed. Disturbance arises whenever there is the belief that consciousness, meaning I, awareness, is a personal, limited body-mind. It's a limited consciousness. When consciousness identifies itself with a particular form, then there is a worry and a concern because forms are impermanent. While when consciousness is not identified, there is no, it's not limited by time and space. It's not defined by any phenomenal event. We know that phenomenal events are limited in time and space, at the beginning and an ending. But when consciousness is not identified, then its freedom, its inherent freedom, is not limited by identification, by any identification. So the creative aspect of that silence is not an issue, it's not a problem from the point of view of consciousness when it is not identified. But when it chooses to identify, then there is concern about the survival of whatever it is that consciousness identified with. So the movements of the mind, the activities of the mind, meaning the activities of thinking, perceiving, bodily sensations, they do not affect the silence of being. So whether the mind is silent or not doesn't matter to consciousness. Ignorance is not a mind activity. Mind activity is mind activity, perception, sensation, thoughts, memories, blah, blah. Ignorance is not a mind activity. Ignorance is the belief that consciousness is personal and limited. So that belief is a very particular type of mind activity, very specific thought, very, very particular thought. Which spoils the party. So the inquiry is always in the belief, to the belief that consciousness is personal and limited. that I am a body mind, that I'm a person. And what encourages this inquiry is that whenever consciousness adopts identification, there is immediately unhappiness. Unhappiness. And when we experience unhappiness, we don't like it. We try our best to get free from the unhappiness. The thing is, we think in ignorance that we can be free from the unhappiness by getting a different experience, or getting a bigger home, or a better relationship, or more money, or we are still identified. And so in ignorance, we believe that we can get out of unhappiness while remaining identified but improving our costume, our mask. So we are in the costume business of getting better, hairdo, better whatever, more money, whatever, more your other experiences, better experiences, better feelings, which are all impermanent. Because the costume is very nice when it's new, but after a little while, you're eating, you drop some food on it, you have to then some holes in it, it becomes old. So what we are exploring is what is the path to freedom and happiness. And the path is via understanding. Understanding about the condition, the human condition, and the understanding about the reality of consciousness, about the reality of I, which is already on board, because you are this reality that right now perceives this perception. You already are this reality. It's not like a new experience. Suddenly you are going to become somebody special. No. It's more of the dropping of the belief, the dropping of the identification via understanding that this identification is a falsehood. It's miserable, it's pernicious, and it's false. There's no ground upon which to stand. So the understanding, via the understanding, the ignorance is dissolves in the understanding. So our interest in the understanding, our interest in truth is very, very important to as the mechanism to liberation. Any questions? Very lovely to meet you all. Thank you. Thank you, Holger. Nice to see you, Fernando, Charlotte, Chris, hello, Holly, Nina, Frank. Hi, Jeff. Hello, John. Hello, Ali. Nice to see you, Ali. Richard. And Ola, Isaac. Thank you all. Very lovely to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Magdi. Stay well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.